for the warm welcome. Thank you for hosting me. Thank you to the president for having me here and the student body presidents for nominating me. It's an honor and privilege. The first bar. I pull up at the club VIP. Now here, imagine you're entering the club of life. Over the years, I've learned how essential it's been for me to approach every opportunity as a VIP, as someone who belongs and deserves to be here. That was a lesson I began to learn at Stanford. From the moment I started my first class at this school, I started to question whether or not I truly deserved to be here. I thought I was great at calculus until I took Math 42 that first quarter and my entire world collapsed. And I was like, can I even add? Like, what the fuck was AP Calc for? Why did I do that? And then a couple of quarters in, I learned, like many of you did, I'm sure, oh, everybody feels like that here. And everybody worries that they don't deserve to be here. And then I settled in and slowly started to create the spaces that made me comfortable on campus. When I felt the drama department was a little too white to fit into, I was able to get the resources from Stanford to put on multicultural theatrical productions for all 4 years that I was here. And thank you. And my fellow classmates rallied to support my admittedly very bootleg productions by either being in the shows, helping me behind the scenes, and buying tickets to attend them. After my second year of putting on plays, I felt like I could actually write, direct, and produce professionally. So when I was a sophomore here, we didn't have a film program yet. So I stopped out of school to try to pursue film in LA. At 19, I had co-written a feature film script with my writing partner at the time, a fellow Stanford classmate who shared my love for 90s Black romances. And gassed that we had written something special, we begged our parents to let us take some time off to try to get this film made and make it in Hollywood. Her parents were cool about it, but my mom was worried about my commitment, like, don't waste this time. And my dad was like, don't waste our money. And I promised them both that I would come back to school if nothing happened by the end of that quarter. And they agreed to let me stop out. Long story short, we did not make it in Hollywood. And I learned so many disheartening lessons about the kinds of stories Hollywood was not interested in telling. Lessons that would make me question whether I could ever tell stories in this industry at all. So I came back to finish out school, tail between my legs, and continued to put on these plays that built my confidence as a creative. And again, these plays were super trash in hindsight, but the Stanford community, and my community in particular, really made me feel like they were Tony Award worthy. My senior year, after still trying and failing to secure writing opportunities because I was told my work didn't have an audience and it couldn't sell, I got the inspiration, as you heard, to create a web series that I called Dorm Diaries. The series was about being Black at Stanford and featured my friends who were playing archetypes. Like, hey girl, I have this whole character, you should play her, it's not about you. And in some cases, my friends were putting in hours for class, their schoolwork, rehearsals for the play that I was putting on, and then dedicating their time to be in this hobby of a web series that I made. And that's love. And then when I released the series on Facebook, again, this was 2007, guys, get off my back, the outpouring of support for the episodes from my community made me realize that Hollywood was wrong about there not being an audience for the stories that I wanted to tell. So as you leave this campus and venture out, whether you're starting a new job or going to grad school or figuring out your purpose from gig to gig, make sure you pull up at the club VIP because you're exactly where you're supposed to be. The next bar of Fox's opus opened my eyes to the true nature of giving. Again, he says, gas tank on E, but all drinks on me. Oh man, I just got chills. Do you hear the humility and service in that? What I took from this line is that no matter what obstacles or dire circumstances you personally face, you should always value and celebrate your community. He's saying, no matter what I'm going through, I got you. And those are words to live by and words I've experienced from my chosen family right here. Trust and believe that your Stanford family will show up for you in unexpected ways. When I was a freshman, I lived in Rinconade, and and my other close friend lived in Branner. And we would always make the bike treks to Ooge to generally kick it, but she had ulterior motives. She had a crush on a guy who was 2 years ahead of us because he reminded her of her current boyfriend. He was an amazing dancer, and he was also gay, but ride or die friends don't ask questions, they just ride. So I always tagged along on her visits. They never got together because she had a boyfriend, and of course, again, he was gay. And then he eventually graduated, leaving us behind. But fast forward to 2011, I'm 4 years out of college, very broke, not where I want to be at all. And I have this one idea for a series called The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl that I've been sitting on for 2 years because I don't have the resources or the money to make it happen. And out of the blue, my friend's old crush hits me up saying that he's been thinking about pursuing acting and asks if I know of any classes or opportunities to please send them his way. I tell him I will absolutely be on the lookout. And then when I finally pressure myself to stop making excuses and decide to make the first episode of Awkward Black Girl, he is the first person I called to act in it. I didn't have much of a script, just a concept, but he was down because he wanted the experience. And as the series started to grow, I was getting progressively more poor, but my small extended Stanford community started to come through in ways that I just didn't expect. The girl that I mentioned co-writing the script with at 19, my sophomore year, came on as a producer and helped up the production quality of the series. And then when we started a small writer's room for Awkward Black Girl, we tapped another girl from Stanford who was a year older than us, who I didn't even speak to, or she didn't speak to me at the time. We didn't know each other. And she was working to break into the industry. And then the two of them were just as broke as I was, gas tanks on E. But they rallied together to buy drinks and help me make the series. And then when I couldn't afford to make the show anymore, it was our mutual Stanford friends, and in some cases administrators, who donated either personally or via Kickstarter to keep the series going. And at that I have to shout out Ms. Jan Barker-Alexander, who was just so instrumental in so much of my experience here and outside. The outpouring of support from this community of people who I met here on campus are the reason I was able to ultimately make the show of my dreams for HBO, Insecure. And in my own industry journey, no matter my circumstances, I've always made it a priority to buy the next round of drinks for upcoming creatives, figuratively speaking, sometimes literally too. So did that work? Are y'all still with me? Okay. Well, that brings me to my last golden nugget of a sentence. The refrain, wipe me down. The refrain commands respect. It says, give me my props, I've earned them. And yesterday morning, I finished shooting the final season of my show, Insecure. Thank you. And when I wrapped what ended up being a very grueling week and a final 20-hour day, I got teary-eyed while thanking one of my Awkward Black Girl OGs from my curated Stanford community. She started with me on the web series back in 2011 and ended with me as an executive producer on the TV show just yesterday. And she was standing right across from me, and then right next to her stood one of my best friends, another alum who creatively inspired one of the main characters in the series, whether she wanted to or not, low-key. And this is a show that I was writing for 8 years, shooting for 6, and a series that the industry just 10 years ago was confident wouldn't have an audience. We were nominated for 8 Emmys last year and won one, and we got to shoot 5 seasons of it on our terms. So, wipe me down. That show and my journey was literally made possible, not by any mentors or connections to the industry. It was made by tapping into the people sitting next to me at one point. Connecting with new people after school is especially hard during this time and climate, But if nothing else, the isolation and circumstances of last year made the relationships I've been able to build over time that much more dear to me. And I will continue to value these relationships as I enter this exciting next chapter of my life, much like you all are. So as you leave here today, many of you might be wondering, what the hell is next? You might feel smart and satisfied with your experience here, but unprepared. Or you may feel lost for a bit as you figure out what moves to make or where to go and how to make the most of the time and hella money you spent here. Many of those answers are sitting right next to you or across from you or behind you. Build and tap into your community. The brilliant minds in this room will have a hand in shaping the culture, making the world better, leaving long-lasting legacies behind, and doing a bunch of other important shit. I've watched so many people in my own class do just that, and I can't wait to witness what you all contribute to the world. So to honor the classic song that has guided my own life, as you leave this room, don't forget to ask yourself what you can offer to make the club of life go up, how you can make this place better in spite of your circumstances. And as you figure those things out, don't forget to step back and wipe yourselves down, wipe each other down, and go claim what's yours like the VIPs that you are. You've earned it. Congratulations.